Ask Reddit, when did you realize that you're dating an idiot? The night I said that I thought I smelled gas, and they grabbed a lighter and struck it without hesitation. She refused to pay taxes, have a bank account, or pay for public transit. She told me,
I change my name every few years so they can't find me.
like, she would go to the government and change her name. Legally. So the government couldn't find her. We broke up for other reasons, but this was the first red flag. She kept stating the big revelation of her story with Lord and behold instead of lo and behold. I told her she was using the wrong word, but I was the idiot because you behold the Lord. Anyways, Lord and behold, she fucked 5 other dudes, so we're on a more than temporary break. My wife would bring stuff home that said refrigerate after open it, and put it in the refrigerator. She didn't understand that you actually have to pay what you spent on credit cards. Like the credit amount she had was supposed to be her monthly limit that just resets each month. She didn't know that yogurt and pudding were not the same thing. She thought it was like how the British call fries chips. She had been eating pudding and granola for breakfast for months and congratulating herself for being so healthy. She also baked baby Jesus a birthday cake on Christmas, lit a candle and took it outside. When the wind blew the candle out, she was convinced it's Jesus that blew it out. 1990, we live in central Alabama. She told me that her and her best friend were going to Birmingham for the weekend. Didn't think anything of it, there's lots of shopping and things to do in Birmingham. Came over Sunday night to tell me how disappointed she was in the trip. They had driven through all of the wealthier neighborhoods in Birmingham, Alabama for 2 days trying to find a house that matched the gates to Ozzy Osbourne's house and never found it. He lives in Birmingham, England. Stacking cups in the dishwasher. My ex wanted to start a business making supplies for baby showers. Her business plan was to sell everything below cost to increase sales. After I had explained numerous times that you cannot profit from a business that will inevitably lose money, her reply was that I was the idiot because if she sold them cheap it would drum up more business and she would sell more that way. She walked into a computer lab on campus and simply picked up a computer and walked home with it. She was living with me at the time, so I get home to find a very familiar looking computer sitting on the kitchen table. She literally thought the computers were free for students. It took a bit of explaining to convince her that she stole the computer. I made her return the computer to the lab that night. She left it at the doorstep. I was dating someone who wasn't on birth control, we were using condoms. She also didn't want me to come inside her because they aren't 100%. I had no problem with that. Double protection from not coming inside and being wrapped up anyway. Sure. So I was finishing myself off after we had sex and I was getting moderately close and asked if I could finish on her chest. So I did, and some of it also dripped on her belly, nowhere near the nether regions. She immediately freaked out that she might get pregnant from that. She was like, my uterus is right there. It took me 20 minutes to convince her that sperm can't burrow through your skin and get in that way. She kept asking, are you sure? Are you sure? This was a 30-year-old woman. Oh, and no, she didn't get pregnant. At least not in the time I knew her. When my ex asked me where they grew spaghetti. ETA, I cannot believe my most upvoted comment is about that absolute walnut. I once dated a girl who legitimately thought we lived inside the Earth. We were talking about SpaceX back when they were just starting to get more public attention. I mentioned something about how it was cool we'll be alive to potentially see humanity reach for the stars. Her response was something along the lines of,
Yeah, but how do they get to space?
Confused, I said, with the rockets. Like in the video. She replied with something like,
Yeah, but don't we have to get outside of the Earth first?
Dumbfounded, I asked for further clarification. She goes on to say, in a tone that suggests I am the idiot here,
We live inside the Earth, so how the F do we get out so we can reach space?
I then inform her we live on the outside of the Earth. That's why you see open sky and stars and the sun and not more Earth above you. She then laughs and states,
If we lived on the outside of the earth, wouldn't we just fall off?
still, as if I'm the idiot. My jaw dropped. I responded with a simple gravity? The atmosphere? To which she says,
Oh yeah, that. Haha. Whatever, how was I supposed to know?
I asked if this was a joke. It wasn't a joke. She thought we lived in the earth up until that moment. Where exactly in the earth? I don't know. I'm afraid to know. I was speechless. She told me to never tell anyone. But we broke up years ago. I think it was for the best. Ask your partners whether they think we live on the inside or outside of the earth and reply to this to let me know. I'm curious. I've been bearing this weight alone for close to 10 years. I'd love to know if there are other inner earth dwellers unknowingly roaming the surface. When I asked her to hand me a kitchen knife and she threw it at me, and that's not even the stupidest part. When I tried to explain the basics of handing someone a knife or pair of scissors, she refused to accept that what she did was wrong or unsafe. It was suddenly apparent that she couldn't possibly ever admit to being wrong. Edit, it was an underhand throw. I gave my girlfriend a gift, a box with something in it, and after she opened it and saw what it was, I told her to check it again, because it's gone. I don't know why I said that. I think I was joking to confuse her or be silly or something. But without opening the box, the gift was still in there. She started screaming and ran to the other side of the room, believing that I had just performed dark magic or something. She later told me that she believed I was a witch or a demon when I told her that I made it disappear. I didn't actually date an idiot, I attempted to. I matched with a girl on Tinder. After minimal small talk, we set up an afternoon date at a small pub in the city that had just opened. She told me that she didn't know where that was, so I 1. Sent her the address, and 2. Gave her explicit directions telling that it was on Fake Street in between this street and that street. Now this is one of the most known streets in the city, and apparently she was from the city for years, so there is no way she didn't know where it is. She kind of said whatever, and I thought that was kind of weird. I had even remarked to a friend that this person might be pretty stupid, but who knows? Anyways, day of the date comes and she has an appointment before the date that ends up running late. No worries, I tell her I'll meet her at the bar when she is done and that I'll just be there watching the Blue Jays game while I wait. Almost an hour goes by and she finally messages that she is in her way. I remind her the bar address and she says again that she doesn't know where that is. So I send her a map pin even. Her appointment was maybe 6 minutes distance away, and 20 minutes later I get a phone call saying she doesn't know where she is going. I asked her where she was. She was only 2 or 3 blocks away, so I tell her to turn north. She explains.
What?
Now this what was not a which way is north, but what is north? I honestly am not sure she had ever heard the word before. At this point I couldn't give 2 fucks if she showed, so I just repeated myself, north, go north. She stammers for a second and then says fuck it, I'm going home. And that's when I successfully failed to date an idiot. We were homeless, living in a hotel, and both had COVID, so we were off work for a week unpaid. He got bored, so he bought an Xbox and a few games with the last of our money, knowing that the next paycheck wouldn't cover the cost of the room and food. We had 50 cents left after I paid for the room, and for a whole week we had only 5 packs of ramen, 2 cans of soup, and a box of Pop-Tarts. The realization was cemented when I got pregnant and he wouldn't stop buying weed. He was spending all our money on weed, and we had to move out of the hotel back onto the street. He wouldn't let me spend money on food or a drink, even when I got so dehydrated I almost went to the hospital because he needed the weed for his anxiety. When he finally dumped me because I decided it was time to find a shelter to go to because I was sick of sleeping on concrete while pregnant, I cried for a few minutes, then got my ass into a shelter. He's still an idiot, but I'm choosing to not be one anymore, and so better for me and baby.
I introduced him to my stepsister. He said,
Weird, you guys look nothing alike. When we passed by a car wash that said free vacuum with purchase of a car wash, and they thought it meant we'd get a free vacuum to take home with us to clean the house with. I absolutely love my idiot to death. My ex-wife. The doctor said her test came back positive and she said,
Does that mean I'm not pregnant?
I knew at that moment I was in for a long ride.
Thank you for watching, friend. Until next time, and remember to stay hydrated.